tragic midair collision between an army helicopter and an American Airlines jetliner has left 67 people dead, including two Indian origin individuals. The accident, which happened at Washington's Ronald Reagan National Airport, is now being called the deadliest aviation disaster in the United States since 2001. The shocking incident has left many families grieving, authorities scrambling for answers, and the aviation industry deeply shaken. Among the victims were Vikesh Patel, an aerospace engineer, and Asra Hussain Raza, a consultant based in Washington, D.C. Both had very promising careers, loving families, and very bright future ahead of them. This sudden and tragic death have left their loved ones devastated. Now, focusing on the victims, then first we have Vikesh Patel, originally from Greater Cincinnati, was an engineer at GE Aerospace and had spent more than a decade in the aviation industry. He had worked in multiple roles, including engine assembly engineer, senior operation manager, and lean transformational coach, eventually becoming an MRO transformational leader. His job required frequent travel across the world, and his fateful flight was just another routine trip for him. His employer, GE Aerospace, expressed deep sorrow over his passing, calling it a tragedy not just for his family but the entire aviation industry. Larry Culp, the CEO of GE Aerospace, issued a statement mourning the loss, saying that this is a heartbreaking loss for all of us. Our hearts are with his families and all those affected by this horrific accident. Now, Patel's contribution to the field of aerospace had earned him great respect, and his colleagues are now mourning the loss of a very talented and dedicated professional. Second victim is Asra Raza, aged 26 years old, and she was another victim of the crash. A daughter of Indian immigrants who had graduated with honors from Indiana University in 2020 and had only recently started her life as a married woman. She tied the knot with her college sweetheart, Hamad Raza, in August 2023. Her journey was just the beginning, both professionally and personally. She worked as a consultant in Washington, D.C. and frequently traveled to Wichita twice a month for a hospital project. Now, this particular trip was supposed to be just another routine work trip for her as well, but it turned into a heartbreaking disaster that changed her family's life forever. Her father-in-law, Dr. Hashim Raza, spoke about how Asra was always looking out for others. She would often check on him after his long emergency room shifts, calling late at night to ensure that he stayed awake while driving home. Now, this small but thoughtful gesture showed how caring she was. Her sudden loss has left an unfillable void in the lives of her family members. You know what? The most heartbreaking part of the story came from her husband, Hamad Raza, who had been really eagerly waiting to pick her up at the airport. Just 20 minutes before the crash, Asra had sent him a text messages saying, "We are landing in 20 minutes." This was the last thing that he ever heard from her. When he reached at the airport, everything seemed normal at first, until he noticed emergency vehicles rushing past him one after the another. Something didn't feel right. He texted Asra, but his messages weren't going through. Then, as he checked the news and saw reports of the crash, reality hit him really hard. Her flight had gone down. Hamad, still in shock, shared his grief, saying that it feels surreal. You see these things happening in the news in another country, you never think it would happen to you. Now his home is filled with grieving family members, all struggling to process the unexpected loss of a young woman full of life and dreams. Now, this horrific accident has raised serious concern about aviation safety in the United States. With 67 lives lost, including talented professionals like Vikesh and Asra, authorities are now under a lot of pressure just to investigate how such a tragedy could have happened. This disaster is a painful reminder that despite technology's advancement in aviation, tragedies can still strike when least expected. The loss of two promising Indian origin individuals is not just a personal tragedy for their family, but a loss for entire Indian diaspora that has made its mark across industries in the US. Many Indian professionals frequently travel to work, balancing ambitious life with their family life. The sudden and tragic end of these bright lives have left deep impact on the community as well. As the investigation continues, the focus now is on supporting the grieving families and ensuring that the lessons learned from this disaster help prevent such tragedies from happening in near future. The memories of Vikesh Patel and Asra Raza will live on, reminding us all of how precious and unpredictable life can be.